Mr. Moore, thanks for speaking with us today. In your statement announcing that you're leaving politics, you say a large part of the reason is the health of your son. We don't want to pry, but what can you share with us about your son's health and what factor that played in your decision making?
Sure. My son, his name is Spencer. He's 2.5, and he was born with a rare bone disease. And he's generally healthy and well, but with it comes a lot of challenges. And I've been a member of Parliament for 15 years, and I'm absolutely convinced that Stephen Harper is going to get reelected. But when you decide for yourself as to whether or not you're personally going to get reelected or you're going to run for office, you have to make a 4-year commitment. And with a 2.5-year-old son who has health challenges, it's not a commitment that I can make right now. So it's a difficult decision because you have to balance a lot of things in your lives. But his condition it's a rare bone disease. It comes with a lot of complications, and so it's often one step forward, 2 steps back, and it creates a real challenge sometimes to justify going to and from Ottawa for another 4 years after you've already done it for 15.
You have been living with this for 2.5 years. You've been dealing with a very busy political life. How difficult has that been? Because for a lot of people, they are in your situation at high-pressure jobs, and yet they have to deal with something like this.
Well, the Parliament of Canada is 308 men and women, all with very different backgrounds. Right, and there are members of Parliament who have kids who are autistic, and members of Parliament who have lost kids, and members of Parliament who have spouses who are struggling with cancer. We're human beings. We're human as much as anybody else. And you often in public life you present yourself as sort of invulnerable and always leaning forward. But the truth is we're human, and you have to counterbalance the public interest with the party interest versus thinking about the next election with what your first obligation and responsibilities are, which is to your family. And I've got a beautiful little boy, and there came a time about 2 months ago I was saying goodbye to him at the airport, and he's now old enough to know that when I say goodbye, it means that I'm leaving for 5 days. And he just lost it and started crying, and they drove away, and I left. I was standing there staring at the airport terminal thinking I've been doing this for 15 years. That's not something I can keep doing. I got to go home and be with my boy. And I'm not leaving sort of angry or sad or disappointed. I've had an amazing experience in public life, 5 terms, 15 years. But I can't see my son cry anymore when I leave. It's just eating me up, and I got to go home. It's that simple.
Of course, there are people that are cynical and say that every time a politician says personal reasons, this seems very heartfelt, but they still will say sometimes that their personal reasons are a smokescreen for other reasons, leaving that politically the Conservatives might not be doing this well or that well in this coming election, and that might those kind of factors might be at play.
Well, I'd say in the last 35 years, my riding has been Conservative in every election except one. There's a 25-point gap in the last election. So that aside, you never take anything for granted, of course. But there also comes a time in your calculation about whether or not you run again where you ask yourself, and it kind of comes to a realization, I'm more worried about winning and having another 4 years away from my family than I am about losing. I'm a proud Conservative. I believe in our agenda. I'm proud to stand on my record locally and our record nationally. But when you start thinking, I have to make a 4-year commitment to be away from my son and also be regional minister and minister of industry and have that privilege, it's genuinely a privilege, it's just not a trade-off I can make. And we all have to have those calculations. There have been other members of Parliament who have made the decision to leave. Peter MacKay has a young boy and a second one on the way, and he sort of made that calculation that, as he said it well, I love this job and I'm honored by the experience, but I love my family more, and that's the case for me too.
How much does your decision leave the party in the lurch? As you pointed out, there's been a number of senior ministers, John Baird, Peter MacKay, now yourself, leaving politics. You're also the regional minister for BC. One would have expected that you would have played a pivotal role in terms of managing the campaign in BC, which is a real battleground, 6 new ridings there. So how much is this going to hurt your party?
Well, to be honest, I don't think much, because I'm still going to be there. I'm still the member of Parliament right up until October 19th. I'm still minister until the end of the end of the campaign, and I'm going to be there campaigning with Stephen Harper, fighting to elect as many Conservatives as we can in British Columbia. And we've got a great crop of candidates in BC as well. The former Mayor of Surrey, Diane Watts, an Afghan veteran, and Tim Laidler, former councillor, and Mike Little is running for us in Burnaby, North Seymour. Across the province, we have a phenomenal group of candidates who will all come to Ottawa, and you'll get to know, and you'll realize that we really do have a group of stars who are going to step forward. And every election brings in new talent, and we're going to have a great team come back to Ottawa after the campaign.
What do you think the prospects are for the Conservative Party in BC? One of my colleagues at Global BC pointed out a poll to me that was done recently in a riding that borders on yours, and 2 in Vancouver Island, and the results were fairly grim. It showed almost a cut in half in voter support for the Conservative Party.
Well, I would point out to anybody who's looking at polls 4 months ahead of a campaign that Premier Adrian Dix is not in office. That polls, certainly in British Columbia, they really are for dogs, and it really doesn't mean very much. We've entered previous campaigns in first place, second place, third place. It really doesn't matter. The track record that we have of delivering for British Columbia on infrastructure, lower taxes, balanced. British Columbia is the only province in the country with a balanced budget, and the federal government has a balanced budget. You have the Asia-Pacific Gateway, free trade with South Korea, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. British Columbia is a main focus of Canada's prosperity going forward, and what we've delivered for BC and the strong candidates that we've drawn as a result of having delivered for BC, I think we're going to do very well in BC.
Is this government tired? After 10 years, governments often run out of steam. Is it tired? Is it going to be able to deliver a vision that Canadians are going to respond to in the next election?
Yeah, we are focused, and look at our agenda. We're not stopping. We have not sat back. All the conversations that are happening in Parliament on public policy are on policies that we're pushing: anti-terrorism legislation, income splitting for families, a tax-free savings account so we have more retirement savings for people in the future, free trade agreements with Europe and across the Asia-Pacific. The agenda that Ottawa is talking about is the agenda that Stephen Harper is driving. So we're a government that still has lots to do and lots to move forward on, and that'll continue under Stephen Harper.
What did you like about politics?
The policy. I genuinely love public policy and debating and wrestling with and understanding not only the black and the white, but the 1,000 shades of gray, and recognizing problems and trying to arrive at conclusions. The public policy stuff is what I really am most interested in.
And when did you tell the Prime Minister about this?
A few weeks ago. I've been wrestling with it in my head for a little while. What crystallized the decision for me was we got some tough test results from a doctor last week about my son's health challenges and what's coming for him. And for me, it was just it was the tipping point of I got to go home, and I just can't make a commitment for 4 more years. Look, my son is, as you know, cliches are usually cliches for reasons because they're true. And when you have a child, it changes everything. And when you have a child with special needs, it really changes everything. But the amazing thing about having a child with special needs is that it brings out a special love that you didn't know that you had. And Spencer's done that for me. That's his gift to me. And it's also made me realize the most important thing in life is that, there are other people in my community who can be a member of Parliament. There are other people who can be a Minister of Industry. There's only one person who can be Spencer's dad. And he needs me, and I want to be there with him.
My final question is the never say never question. Is there, in your future, a possible return to politics?
I'm 39. I'm ending this chapter of my political career and going to go home to British Columbia, and I will see what the future holds. But quite sincerely, I want Stephen Harper to stay as Prime Minister as long as we can. I mean, the choices in the next campaign are really quite clear and very stark. And I want Stephen Harper to lead the Conservative Party for as long as he chooses to. We're very lucky that he's our Prime Minister, and I'll figure out the next chapter in my life, and I'm just looking forward to going home right now.
But the background to that question is you've often been seen as a possible leadership contender. Stephen Harper, he's not going to reign forever, so there is going to come a point where he's no longer the leader. And is there, when I say the never say never question, are you ruling out forever a return to politics? Running for the top job?
I'm not ruling out never returning to politics. As I said, I'm 39. The Prime Minister said to me not that long ago, he said, "How old are you exactly?" And I said, "I'm 38. And he said, it was just before my birthday. I said, "I'm 38. He said, "You're 2 years older than I was when I was first elected over 20 years ago. I said, well, yeah, when I was elected at 24, now I'm just turned 39. Look, all I know is the next chapter of my life is me outside of politics, and I'm just looking forward to going back to BC.
Minister Moore, thanks so much.
Thanks, Chuck.